Hey everybody, welcome to Geekism. I'm T.
And I'm Corey.
Might have caught a tip of that 3 when I hit record on there.
Yeah, you never know. We'll see.
So be ready for that. So this is a little bit weird one. We're recording a little bit early just because scheduling stuff, but it doesn't matter. The news that we were going to talk about next week has already happened. The big stuff, anyways. However, though, we did mention last episode that we might do some E3 predictions. We're not prepared for that, so we'll probably just do it next week instead. Because, I mean, it's still a month away, like, we have time. But, yeah, so I guess Corey has a couple things, and I typed out a lot of notes.
I just got
one time Teach types notes.
Yeah, I haven't typed out any notes in a while. I just have some things here listed out, and some of these were sent in from our boy Chris.
Shit, shout out, Chris.
I'm like, am I missing something? Let me see here. And then we got a few quick notes here.
Chris, longtime friend of the show.
Yeah.
Those who don't know.
Little updates here, I guess, with the Mario Kart 8 being out for a little while now. I didn't notice it because I never play this character, and, I'm always in first place, so I don't ever see this.
Shit!
Apparently one of the Inkling girl had, like, a gesture that kind of looked like she was, giving you the whole up yours, like, F you.
Oh, shit. Keeping it raw. Maybe I should have played them.
Yeah, no kidding. It's kind of hard on these Splatoon streets. Well, apparently that's pretty offensive in some countries, so they had to take that one out, which, whatever, I guess. I mean, they didn't change it too much. All they did was just take her hand off of, like, her bicep, so, like, you just see kind of, like, it looks like she's just looking at you and flexing now.
She's just giving power fist now.
Yeah, that's fine. Little things like that. Apparently there's also, like, a Splatoon 2 bundle that's coming out.
I did see,
for Japan and Europe.
So, just to touch on that briefly, because there was the Nintendo Direct this week also, which, in my fucking note-writing hypeness, I completely forgot about, but talk about it super brief. It was mainly focused on ARMS, which, if you've been listening to the show the last few weeks, Tej is sold on ARMS, was already. Then they showed me a couple new characters, more sold. Then they showed me some little, like, minigame type things that aren't just fighting matches, sold me even more. I am day one ARMS. I'm in there.
I was going to get to the ARMS stuff. Apparently, though, with this Splatoon stuff, like, and I can see this being a trend for more and more bundles as it comes out, there's going to be different colored Joy-Cons.
100%.
Yeah, that seems like it's going to be the easy fucking sell of, like, look at that. You get this pink one and this green one, or you could get this Pro Controller that's got some art on it. It's pink and green.
Well, you know what's interesting to me is, initially, when the Switch came out and they were showing it, I was like, oh, man. I was like, because we're so used to how they do with the 3DS, right? Where they're all, like, the console itself is skinned, right?
Yeah.
But then, as we started seeing it, and they've done it now twice now, right? With the ARMS one and the Splatoon one. Now they're like, no. You have your basic Switch. Like, all basic Switches are going to look pretty much the same. But what they are doing, the variation on, is the Joy-Cons and the controllers, so the color schemes. Which I think is very interesting. And I like that because, like, I mean, I don't know that, like, I like my standard gray one. Like, I have the black Pro Controller and I have the gray Switch is what I got. But, like, if they elaborate a little bit, say when Mario comes out, like, they put out, like, some really, like, a nice color red, like Mario red ones, maybe I'll grab those. But I like it because I'm not going to have to buy a whole new console to get that. I can just get the...
So wait, did you say there's an ARMS version for the Switch?
Well, I don't know if it was for the ARMS. I only show the yellow ones. I just associate that with ARMS.
No, I think that's just a random, like, hey, here you go.
Here's some yellow ones. Well, so I guess it's not ARMS, but I associate it because the yellow. It's the same thing.
Another weird thing with Splatoon 2 is, apparently, well, this is another just Japan thing, so America, not going to worry about this. Apparently, they are selling a version of the game where it's just an empty box with a download code inside.
If you told me this, like, a couple years ago, I'd be more surprised than I am right now. Because... And I've noticed it mainly on the Nintendo, like, because I'll check the Switch, like, subreddit every now and again, see if, like, there's some feature coming out that I didn't know about. And I see a lot of people on there, like, where can I buy the blank game cases? Because they want to have it on the shelf, even if it's, like, I see it more for, like, the indie games that are only download only.
It just seems so weird and like a waste of plastic.
Oh, 100% agree. But at the end of the day, like, who am I to tell you whatever, you know what I mean, your thing is your thing, whatever. If you want to have a game shelf with just MDK, well, go for it. I don't care. But it is interesting because I've Like, me and you, we've talked about how many times we show, like, I'm pretty much all digital, all my games. That's just the way it is.
Like, what exactly do you think is the benefit of, like, oh, like, it's a conversation starter, like, you have all these cases on your shelf,
No,
but
I think
they're
it's
all
like with
digital,
anything,
just kind of like, oh, man, I really like that game, like, let's play it, and you're like,
well,
oh,
no,
it's
but
not in there.
think about this, right? Like, if you're someone who, like, you have all amiibos or whatever, you have them on display, like, you think it looks cool, you want to have that on your shelf next to your entertainment center or whatever, go for it, dude. If you want to have all those cases, all the power to you. Don't care. Me, I don't care about that. Like, I have a small DVD shelf in, like, around my TV right now, and I'm like, I never pull a copy of anything off that to watch. Like, I don't even know why it's still there.
I don't think
The
I maybe
only thing
own
I feel
like
that-
10 DVDs anymore.
Well, the only things I feel like I pull off there are I have, like, I'm trying to grow it all every now and again, but I have, like, a collection of all, like, the Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki movies I like on Blu-ray. Like, that's it. Because, those aren't on Netflix. Like, they aren't on, you know, like, maybe they're on Amazon now, but I don't know. But, like, you know what I mean? You can't, it's not easy to stream those legally.
Legally.
But, which is, I mean, that's a whole other, we've talked about before. Like, I have no problem paying for media if I got to, but, but yeah, like, other than that, no, I'll stream everything. Like, I literally, if I own a DVD, and I don't know where it is, I'm like, I know I have it somewhere, but I can't find it, I'm like, I will just rent it on Amazon for $3 and just watch it streaming instead of fucking finding it and putting it in there.
And then by the time you've watched that movie, you're probably like, oh, that's where that is.
Yeah, but I don't care because it's so much more convenient, it's way easier.
Just throwing money around.
Fuck it. $3 rentals. We living, boys. That's the way it is. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up because I didn't, like, I remember when I saw that headline and I was like, and it took me, I was like, oh, all right. But then I realized, I was like, man, I was like, if I saw that headline 2 years ago, I'd be like, what the fuck?
I think it's just weird. But, I mean, like we said, to each their own. Like, if you want a bunch of empty game cases, go right ahead.
But
there's probably even
it's the
people
same
out
thing.
there that, before this was even a thing, were buying those empty cases and then
100%.
printing stuff off the internet.
But even look at it this way, like, people will pre-order digital games through GameStop or whatever. Like, why?
Yeah.
But if that's how they do it, sure, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, whatever. I did see that they had a Splatoon trailer in that direct too, like for what I assume is a single player thing, but the trailer to me, anyways, was not very clear. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Maybe it's because I didn't play the first one. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play the first one. I might check this out though. It looks like a fun game. But
I mean, it looks cool, and I like playing shit on the Switch. So if the homies are getting it, like I said, with that, what was that other game we talked about at launch that everyone was kind of might be getting? Bomberman. That didn't turn out so
no,
well.
that turned out to be a huge bomb.
So, but
Pun
like I said,
fully
I was
intended.
Like, yeah, I was like, but if, all the homies got it, I would have got it to play with everybody.
That is probably a game that I might pick up once it's like a $20.
When they come at me with that $10 Bomberman, maybe I'll try it.
Jesus. What else? I mean, we could, like, the arm stuff looks cool. I mean, they're really just trying to lure people in with that new character, the Twin Tail.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I actually really liked the Bark and Bite, or what is it, like the robot cop with the dog.
I didn't
thought
see that
guy,
one.
Oh, that guy is rad. So, from my understanding of it, like you're like a robot cop, right? Like blue and white color scheme with the lights and shit. And you got your own arms, you're punching. But then you have a little, like, it looks like a dog's head, but it's like a wheel on the bottom, so it's like a little dog. And his, like, tongue comes out like a third arm, but you don't control him, like he's like AI or whatever.
Oh, that's weird.
And then I guess when you have, like, your super ability, like, he kind of jumps, like, his head becomes like your head, and you kind of fucking rip punches out. I don't know, it looks awesome. I missed the very beginning of the direct, though, so I didn't get to see them showcase, like, the other new character.
I didn't see any of the Nintendo Direct or any of the stuff that came out this week. I was so lost at work.
The worst. But I don't know, I mean, it looks really cool. Like, the game looks super fun. I think that it's going to be interesting to me to see whether people latch on to these characters. You know what I mean? Like, they definitely have the appeal. And then I found out, too, and I didn't know this, that the team making ARMS is the team that made Mario Kart 8.
That explains why it kind of has that shiny, like, coating over everything.
I mean, you know it's going to be super polished. Like, you know that. Like, that's what you're going to get, right? What I thought was interesting that you mentioned in the direct is that they're going to support the game with free updates with characters, new arms, etc., after launch.
New butts.
That's how's Nintendo saving the company.
Yeah,
I
love
thought
that
shit
meme that was just like, Kimishima, what are your plans to save Nintendo? And it just shows like this Twintel and then Zelda like tight yoga pant butts, and he's just got his hands in there almost like the ancient aliens guy.
Oh my god, dude. I listen, I thought that was funny.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the game looks solid to me. Splatoon looks fun. Like, I'll probably end up checking it out. I don't know if I'll get into like the competitive shooter or whatever on the Switch, like especially with other things that we now know about that are coming out, you know what I mean, later in the year. I don't know, but
plus we still don't know what the online is like for that thing.
Yeah, like Mario Kart 8, I haven't played a ton online, but what I have played, I haven't had too many issues, but I definitely have had a couple connection errors, and I've seen people online having connection errors. Like, it's enough to be kind of like a joke right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I'm really hoping they elaborate at E3 like about that and what their kind of plans are for that.
Now, other Switch games that have been announced. Have you seen this combo of this, or I should say crossover, of Mario and the Rabbids?
I remember I saw a rumor about it, and then it was quasi-confirmed. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I probably won't play it unless it's like incredible. I've never played any of those Mario crossover games, like when they did the Mario and Sonic Olympic.
Yeah, but that was like the Olympic games. Like, I don't got any desire to play that.
I never played any of those. Like, I like my Mario games. Like for me, like the only time I play Mario in other games is like Smash or whatever. But it fits in there because that's all Nintendo stuff. Like, I'd never played these fucking Rabbids games. Why am I gonna play one just because it has Mario in it?
I think I played the first Rabbids game. I'd like to imagine that in like a different universe, the Rabbids are basically more popular and they're like the minions.
Yeah. It is interesting to me, though, because the Rabbids are Ubisoft, and people may remember that Ubisoft sort of got burned with the Wii U and kind of very publicly was like, we're kind of done exclusive stuff with Nintendo, like because the numbers aren't there to make the money back. But now the Switch, super successful, all this other shit. So
it's probably also just like an agreement, like, hey, we'll make a game for your system, but like we want some of your property.
Yeah, 100%.
Just to kind of sell this thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't understand how it's gonna work. Like, it says it's supposed to be like a RPG thing, so I imagine maybe it'll play kind of like the Mario Luigi RPGs that are on the 3DS, which aren't bad. They're good games, but
never played them.
Full
disclosure, never played them.
I don't think I have a desire to play anything with the Rabbids. Like, I think this is a missed opportunity of maybe they should have just did a Mario crossover with just Rayman.
Well, this is the thing, though, right? And again, it kind of goes back to these empty cases, right? Like, it may not be for me, but I'm glad that if somebody wants it, like, the opportunity is there for them to get that.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty bizarre. What else was there that I saw? Apparently, there is a rumor going around that Scalebound, that fucking game for the Xbox
that they
One,
canceled.
Well, it was canceled, but there's rumor that it might actually still be in development because apparently Microsoft renewed the copyright for the game.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I kind of have mixed feelings about this. One, the game didn't look that great to me personally, anyways. Like, it did, and when I say not great, I don't mean like it looked like shit. It just it didn't look like a game I was excited, like I was gonna get hyped on and play. However, apparently there were people that wanted to play it and were really excited and were really bummed when it got canceled. However, again, I'm worried that the outcry over it being canceled is giving like a false sense of how many people would actually buy it. And I feel like if they canceled it originally, it was probably for good reason. And I would hate for them to see this outcry and be like, oh shit, well maybe we should bring it back because these people will buy it. And then them put that money in to bring it back, make it, and no one buys it.
Well, they could also be kind of going over the fact that, like, a lot of people seem to have wanted this game. It looked good. Platinum's a pretty good developer, and now maybe there's...
Platinum is very fucking hit or miss these last few years.
Yeah, but they're probably seeing, like, well, this Nier Automata game is doing really, really well. Maybe we should try and make this happen.
Well, the thing with that is you have to watch, because that Nier Automata, Platinum, but not only Platinum. Other people involved.
Yeah, like Square Enix is involved.
But then you look at this Ninja Turtles game that Platinum made was a steaming pile of dog shit. A couple of those other licensed games they made have been absolutely awful.
Yeah.
But then you look at the other stuff they came out the gate shit hot with: Bayonetta, Vanquish, all awesome action games.
Which, speaking of, Vanquish is getting re-released on PC, and like apparently it's going to be even better than it was before.
Which, first off, if people haven't played Vanquish, you should go play it, because not like the longest game ever, not the deepest game ever, but the action is awesome.
And it's pretty over the top, and just sliding around on your knees like that is pretty amazing.
Play Vanquish. And the design on the guy is rad.
I like that guy.
Like, you look cool. But yeah, I mean, listen, hope all the best, right? I think, I mean, we try not to, I don't like to take sides in this Sony Xbox bullshit. We said on the show, clearly Sony won this generation, right? Like, that's obvious. However, I don't think I primarily do play on Xbox, right? Like, that's just where I play most of the time.
Absolutely. It just seems like a lot of the more like popular and like exclusive games that have been consistently good have all fallen the wayside to the Sony.
Oh, exactly. But the thing for me is I really hope that if this is true, that this is a success for Microsoft, because I think if both parties are successful, the competition is going to be better. You're going to get better games. You're going to get better services, etc., etc. I think if Xbox falls, I see people online that are like, I hope Xbox fails so they're just done and it's only going to be PlayStation from now on. I'm like, well, that's dumb, because if PlayStation's the only thing and then you get the Switch, that's going to be awful.
Yeah,
there's no
like,
competition there.
Competition or like reason to push forward. Then you're just going to have a bunch of like bullshit, like substandard games.
Yeah, and no, who wants that? No one.
Jumping back to the Ubisoft thing, apparently there's another Assassin's Creed coming this way.
I did see that, and I won't lie to you, I'm a little bit excited because I haven't played a proper Assassin's Creed. Like, we got what was the one in France or whatever? It was a
Unity?
pile of shit. It was just so buggy and
I wouldn't even
terrible.
know because I didn't turn it on. I downloaded it, I bought it, did not play it.
The thing, what I'm excited about, because they have taken some time off. They said they were going to take time off. They're not going to turn them out yearly because that became a problem. From the allegedly leaked screenshot, looked cool. However, what I am excited about is I'm curious, because I have a feeling that Microsoft is going to get exclusive marketing rights or whatever for this one, I think. Because I think they're going to really push Scorpio with this, being like, look at how good it looks, you know what I mean?
The thing that I'm curious about, though,
again,
is the rumor
not confirmed or anything, I just have a feeling.
The rumor is it's set in Egypt and it's like an Origins game. Like, why are we going further back? Like, why don't we just branch out more? Because I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to go further back, but you're still going to have all these crazy like advancements and like weapons or things like that were in the newer games. Like, they're already talking about how there's going to be like ship combat in this.
Well, I guess it depends, right? How the ship is. Like, is it going to be like Black Flag and like full on pirate, or is it going to be, like, oh, I'm in Egypt on a raft, like, and I got, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I didn't really care for any of the ship stuff in any of them.
I didn't mind Black Flag,
sneaking around
actually.
and climbing stuff.
I didn't mind Black Flag, but again, like, same thing. Like, the ship was not like my primary thing. Like, I was like, oh, I gotta go on the ship. Like, I didn't hate it, but I was not like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going on the ship.
I'm also wondering and hoping, and maybe they've already done this and it was in a game that I just didn't play, that if there is any mention of the Animus, like, it's at the very beginning, and then I don't see that shit until the game is over.
I'm gonna be honest with you, they could fucking just nix that whole thing and I would be totally fine. Every time I've played an Assassin's Creed and it jumps forward to the future and fucking Desmond Miles, whatever this fuckboy is, I hate it. I'm like, get out of here with this.
Well, he's dead.
I didn't know that, but that's great. Whoever is this new fuck, I don't care. Get him out of here. I don't care. I remember when I played the first Assassin's Creed, I went into it, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to be this badass guy back in the day, whipping ass, and then they're like, oh, and you're also this guy in the future. I was like, fuck. I was like, who's this guy?
And even the parts where you got to play as him, you're just stuck to that one small space, and like you slowly see these things written on the walls, or if I remember right. But other than that, like, you're like, why pull me out of this nice world you've created just to show me this bland area with this shitty character?
The thing for me is, and again, maybe I'm wrong because I'm not like super in tune to the Assassin's Creed community, but I feel like it's pretty universally like no one likes the future shit. Isn't that true? Like, that's the impression I get.
That's
from,
what I've seen too.
My perspective on it. So
I don't think anybody
curious,
likes the human like futury stuff at all.
Like, I feel like they could easily just fucking give a cutscene at the end of the game. Be like, hey, by the way, this is what's happening in the fucking future. Yeah, all right, cool, whatever. Get out of here. Game's over.
Yeah, I don't know. They're probably also trying to take some time off and distance themselves from that movie that didn't do so hot.
I know. It's a bummer.
It looked like it could have been cool, and I said I was going to go see it, but that was a lie. And now, let's see what else is coming out. Apparently, they put Mass Effect on the back burner.
Well, a quick mention while we're talking about video game movies, not a movie, however, and it's not necessarily based on a video game, but I did see that just came up the other day, that Netflix is making an adaptation of The Witcher.
I saw that too, and I'm wondering, like, do you think it's going to be like a live action thing, an animated thing, or like a CG thing?
This is where it gets curious, because they did not say one or the other. However, the company that's like heading it up or whatever is a visual effects company that did work with CD Projekt Red to do a lot of the cinematic stuff for The Witcher 2 and 3, I believe. However, it's based off, from what the press release or whatever it seems to be, it's based off the books, not the games.
Oh.
And I guess the writer of the books is like a creative consultant on the show, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like that world. I've read a few of the books.
It's kind of weird too. I guess like the writer of those books is kind of just like not so keen on the games.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's because he thought the games were bad. I think it's because he kind of boned himself on the deal he signed with CD Projekt Red to make the games. Like, I don't know the specifics, but he essentially sold the video game rights to them for super cheap, and he got like nothing in return.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of people in the old comic book world a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens, right? When you don't necessarily know, like, what things are worth, or you know what I mean? It's such a nebulous thing. Like,
yeah, it
how
seems
do you
like
define that?
Like, but I don't know. There's probably enough examples out there at this point where you should be like, man, I should probably get some sort of lawyer.
Yeah, but the thing is now, I mean, so yeah, I can imagine he's a little bit salty that if they get, like, you know what I mean? But really, who can you be mad at other than yourself, right? Like, you were like, all right, here, I'll sell you my video game rights for fucking $10 or whatever. Like,
here you go. Just put my name in the credits.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. Just that was a quick aside. I wanted to throw that in there because there's not a lot of info known about it, but it is interesting because I think when you go to Netflix, right, most people, like, we hear The Witcher, like, people in our sort of subculture of society, right, we hear The Witcher and we think video games. I know the books, obviously, but I think most people nowadays would think video games.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I think when you go to Netflix, especially as, like, a platform, it's essentially a fresh start for everything because you got to figure how many people are on Netflix. The majority of them are not people that are playing games, probably, right? Like, so they're going to see The Witcher and be like, oh, what's this cool thing? All right, rad. Just like when that Castlevania thing comes out. Like, I don't think a lot of, you know, there's going to be people that don't know that that's based off a game.
Yeah, that's true. Unless, I mean, even then, it'll probably say something based on,
I'm sure it'll mention it, right?
But even then, it's not like someone's like, oh, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so I don't know, just interesting thought. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see more of it.
I was saying the Mass Effect stuff, you know, good old Andromeda.
Didn't do as good as they anticipated.
It seemed like they were probably just like, well, we could just slap Mass Effect in here and everyone will buy it. It'll be great.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it on the show. I was never a Mass Effect guy. Like, I played the first one. I thought it was okay. Didn't play any after that. It didn't do anything for me.
I didn't get into it either. I mean, judging by previous year's attendance to the PAX,
motherfuckers love
Mass Effect. If you were there and you weren't wearing a piece of clothing that said N7 on it, you're probably you're a nobody.
You probably look like a fucking ass.
Yeah, like, why would you even bother showing up?
They walked past us with no N7 on. They're like, fucking casuals, you know what I mean? And
I'm
like,
what are you doing here? This is Mass Effect Con.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bummer. I'm interested to see, like, honestly, maybe just give that series a break for a while, right? Maybe you can revisit it with, like, a whole new thing later on down the line. But
or it's just okay to let things be done.
That's also true, but I think in the way media is produced nowadays, it's like everything is fucking made with the mindset of, like, we gotta franchise this, and I'm like, nah,
this has to go on forever. Just let it go.
Sometimes things just come out and, like, that's what they are, and they're rad, and you experience it then, and you move on.
Yeah. Did you play any of the Far Cry games?
I have played a couple of them. Yes.
All right. Well,
I played. What was the last one?
Far Cry 4.
4. I played some of 4. Liked it a lot. I played a little bit of the Caveman one.
I played a little. That is literally and sadly probably the only one I've played any of.
Far Cry Caveman Simulator. I enjoyed it. Again, but the thing, and we've talked about it so many times on the show, with open world games, if there is too much to do on my map, I will shut down and not do anything. So I ended up spending most of my time just killing random animals.
I just got bored with the Caveman one and was just like, I'm done. And then something else came out, and I was just like, I should probably go play 4, but I just didn't do it.
4 I actually played a decent amount of, and I liked it a lot. Again, didn't beat it, though, because open world fatigue hits me real fast and real hard. Except for Zelda, again, we've talked about it on the show. I think it's just a whole different thing. But 4, the thing is, 4 was really good. Like, from what I played, I really enjoyed 4. I didn't play 3, but I did play the spin-off, thing, the Blood Dragon that they put out. That was, hella 80s.
That was 4.
Was it 4? I don't know. Whichever one that
Blood
was
Dragon
a
was
spin-off
4.
Of. Whatever one that was a spin-off of, that I played that also.
Yeah. Well, apparently there is a Far Cry 5 in
not surprising.
To be in development. Well, it is in development, but the rumor is that it's got a Western setting.
Yeah, which, again, that is full rumor and has been run with as if it's fact, which is ridiculous.
Oh, I think, somebody said that they saw them, doing stuff
somebody said it's
in
in
Montana or something like
and
that.
they're like, oh shit, gotta be cowboys. And I'm like, well, not necessarily, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's cool. Sure.
It can just be the fact that they're like, hey, we're out in Montana. You can blow shit up. There's probably not a bunch of people around, so you don't have to explain things away.
The thing for me is if it does come out and it's a Western, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna be like, what am I gonna pick up this over Red Dead 2? No, get out of here.
Yeah, I think even if it's like that, it's going to play out completely differently.
Oh, 100% it'll be different, but how much space do I have in my life for cowboy games, right? Not a lot. So, and if you got to pick one, I'd be hard-pressed to find someone who's going to pick Far Cry Cowboy over Red Dead 2. Yeah, which also, Red Dead 2, who will see that game in 2 years?
Do you think we're going to see more of that at E3, the Red Dead?
No.
No?
If anything, a logo and a mention. That's it. Because historically, Rockstar doesn't show stuff at E3.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't need to. They could fucking drop a trailer, in Fuckstick Day in October or whatever, and it'll blow up the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that game even comes out this year.
No. Speaking of games that aren't coming out anytime soon, there's also Takeshi Kitano from the Final Fantasy franchise has already talked about remastering more Final Fantasy games. Which is weird considering 7, the remaster one, isn't even out yet. Nothing.
And
not even one part of it.
Put out in fucking 8 parts or whatever for $50 a piece. However they're going to job all you Final Fantasy fans.
Yeah, why? This to me is similar to the fact that they are, pushing out, these, master editions of Dark Knight 3, and the story isn't even done yet. It's why? Don't get ahead of yourself.
The thing for me is, and I think you're seeing this, and we've talked about it on here before, where companies are holding info until it's much closer to the game releasing before they actually announce it and stuff.
Which is smart, but
somebody
at that company should be like, hey, bud, let's not talk about redoing other games until this is even out.
You see shit like this, and I feel like it happens a lot with, these type of games that are like, oh, we're also making this, and it'll be out in 2020 or what. And I'm like, fucking, don't even tell me about it.
Yeah, why even mention that?
For me, I was hyped, obviously, when they put the reveal of, Red Dead 2. But I don't even need to see that. If the game's not going to be out until didn't they say, fall 27, or holiday 2017? There's no way that happens. But if it's not going to be out until, who knows, just wait. Which is, I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little bit once we're done with all this stuff, but, the Destiny 2 stuff, right? They put out a little reveal because some leaks were coming out, and then they did the reveal yesterday, because we're recording this on Friday, and the game comes out in 4 months or whatever the fuck it is. 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, they gave us a little taste, and that's about it.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't mind remake games, but I don't know. Like you said, they've been rumored and working on all stuff for the 7 remake for fucking 10 years more.
It's something ridiculous, but there's nothing has been playable. No one has really seen anything. There might have been like a few like kind of like graphics or like clips or things like
but
that.
The thing
but
is,
like,
anyone,
who
there's
cares?
no way the trailer or whatever they put out what is it, 2 years ago now at this point, or whenever the fuck it was, there's no way that's what the game actually looks like. No way. At least not back then. Maybe, 5 years, in development or whatever. Okay, maybe it's starting to look good. But, like, I don't know. It's just ridiculous to me. I don't need to follow along the development of a game for fucking 10 years. That is dumb.
No, because look what happened with things like The Last Guardian. Like, hey, this has been in development forever. Finally comes out. It's a huge piece of shit.
Like, if you're developing something for a really long time, sure. I don't mind hearing in interviews and stuff when the game's really close to being out. Be like, yeah, we started this way back when we were working on, part 1 or whatever, behind the scenes. Like, we kind of knew we wanted to change this, and this. But, now it's finally out. All right, cool. But you didn't announce the game itself until 6 months ago or a year ago. So, fine. Don't be like, hey, we're starting development on this thing. It'll be out in 6 years.
Here you go.
Seems dumb.
I think I texted you about this earlier, and I still can't believe it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't, because the game was terrible. But they're apparently going to do a movie based off of Thief.
Well, yeah, but the only experience you had with Thief was that newer game, right? Which was shit.
That was like a turd. But even
but
like looking at like
really
the
liked
older
the one back in the days, didn't they?
I guess.
I never played them.
I just don't see that going
Then again,
well.
you're making a movie off Thief, and again, forgive my ignorance if you're a Thief fan. I don't really know shit about like that world or the story or anything. But isn't that really just like a heist movie set way back in the day?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, listen, maybe it'll work, because there's not a whole lot of shit there that's like gamey.
It's just, I don't know.
It just seems like a weird franchise. Like, they probably got the rights for that on the cheap, though.
Yeah, but also, like, how dark is this movie going to be? Because, like, if you look at the setting of that game, like, you could barely see anything because it's so dark and muddy and, like,
I wonder if
terrible.
This is going to be another, like, I Am Legend situation, right? Where the movie studio bought the rights for that book and the comic or whatever, but the movie really was not like the book.
Could be.
So, they just bought it, like, for the name.
Yeah, they're like, hey, this is that thing that you like, but it's not that thing that you like.
Which, not shitting on that movie, it was fine. But the book was much different. Like, if you've read the book, or even read, like, the comic adaptation of the book, or whatever the fuck, it was much different. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen. The thing is, anything that gets announced, I want to be good. Right? I hope everything is good.
Yeah.
But you gotta be realistic sometimes. Am I hyped for a Thief movie? No, not at all. Maybe it'll surprise me, though, when it comes out. Who knows? Just all I'm saying, people, is trying to see the good in things. Let yourself get excited, but not too excited.
Yeah, let's not get
Temper
carried away
those
here.
excitements.
Speaking of excitement, we got some Overwatch stuff coming soon.
Yes. So,
1 year anniversary.
I don't know if it, again, because I saw all this stuff kind of at once, because I wasn't really on Twitter and shit seeing all this stuff, but they previewed, so they announced that the anniversary event is coming out, and I think I got the dates right. It is May 23rd or 24th, one of those days, through June 12th, I believe it was.
This is 23rd. Because I want to say it starts right after the other one that's going on for that Heroes of the Storm stuff goes away.
Ends?
Which,
okay. Well, that makes
fucking
sense.
R.I.P. never getting that Diva skin.
Listen, you still got some time.
I also heard a rumor that they're going to bring away, not a rumor, but they did say somewhere that they're going to make it possible for console people to earn
It'll be available.
I just have to wait.
4 years. But yeah, so the event will run May 23rd through the 12th. We have no real idea if there's going to be like a game mode associated with it or anything like that. We don't have details on this. I assume there will be because there has been for everything. But they did put out previews of not all the stuff that's going to be available, but some of the stuff. Some of new emotes, voice lines, and skins.
I saw some stuff about possible like new maps.
Oh,
but they look like different.
Some new maps also.
Yeah, and they kind of look like sections of other maps like that pre-exist.
Yeah, like one of them, to me anyways, looked like it could have been in the same locale as like Anubis.
Mm-hmm. I think the other one looks like Eichenwald.
Yeah, but yeah, so they previewed some new maps, the new emotes. I know they also did say, this is just a quick aside, and when we're talking about emotes, is they There's going to be a couple new emotes that are just added to the base game straight up. Like, they're not event-specific. Like, there's a Sombra sit-down emote, because I guess everyone has one, but she doesn't have one right now. There might be one other one I'm not remembering, and then there's a Reaper one, which is like a shoulder shrug. I guess it was part of like the comic, and there was like a bunch of fan outcry for it. I didn't know about it, but sure. That'll be added just as a normal thing. But they did preview some like dancing ones.
That Sombra one, she's just cutting a rug.
Yeah, they showed Sombra, Lucio, and Symmetra, I think it was, right?
I only saw the Sombra and Lucio.
I think it was Sombra, Lucio, and Symmetra they previewed for those ones dancing. Then for the voice lines, I think there was a Lucio one, Soldier one, Roadhog, and maybe one other one I'm not remembering. I don't know. Because the voice lines, I'm like, alright, those are cool, but the skins is what I like, the skins are the main course, right? That's what everyone cares about.
Yeah.
And in the preview, they showed a skin for Soldier 76, Bastion, Zarya. Finally, we get another Zarya skin, and this one actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks like some weird, like,
are pretty much rubbish.
Cyber Force fucking warrior.
And as someone who loves playing Zarya, the sweet Russian princess, right? Like, I'm so hyped. I
feel like she hasn't gotten one that's like kind of cool or silly since the weightlifter one.
Well, literally the best Zarya skins are those weightlifter ones, and even those in like on the tier of best, like what is it, legendaries? The yellow ones they have on the tier of like best legendary skins. Those are very low.
Even then, though, like it's kind of weird that they chose to change her hair for those.
Yeah, exactly. I would have kept pink hair, but anyways, and then last but definitely not least, Pharah with a new skin.
Looks all right.
Be still my heart. This skin is tight. And because I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, this thing looks cool, but it's going to look even better with a golden rocket launcher. Which I have. Right? So, I do, but I was psyched. I'm really, really, really hoping there's a Hanzo skin in there, too.
For some reason, the Bastion one, he looks like a transformed bumper car.
He looks like he got a roll cage on him.
Yeah, like a little go-kart.
And the Soldier 76 one I think is really cool too.
To me, that one, it looks like Soldier 76 went through like some like
the
proto Genji treatment. And if you look at his feet, he looks like he should be in Star Fox.
Yeah, well, it's weird, right? Because we all know if you play Overwatch, like pretty much every character in this game has at least some sort of prosthetic, right? But maybe Soldier does underneath his boots and you just never see him. I don't have no idea, but it'd be very interesting.
I mean, he's definitely enhanced somehow.
Oh, for 100% for sure, but I just didn't know if that's the case or if it just happens before the skin. But yeah, I mean, those previews look cool, man. The new maps, like, I mean, I'm always excited when they add new stuff to Overwatch. Like, I'm always playing it.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, you have to earn it, but they don't necessarily charge you for it. I mean, you can.
Plus, your boy's sitting on like 11,000 gold in game right now.
Not even close.
So shout out the quad dupe loot boxes.
Jesus.
But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. So that's next week, right? Tuesday, I think. And I guess just a brief thing too, if you play comp, I guess that season ends the 28th at like 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Gonna have to do those qualifying matches just so I get my little badge.
The first season ended and they had like 3 weeks off in between or whatever, like a month off, whatever. It was a long time. And then they cut that down. And they cut it down again now. So this ends the 28th, like super late at night for us East Coast, and then starts the 1st. So there's 2 days in between.
Eesh.
But if you're someone who, like, you want a golden gun, but you don't really play a lot of comp, like, get in, rip your 10 placement games, see wherever you get placed at, because you'll at least get some for, wherever you place at, and then, just do that until eventually after the season, you get enough.
Yep.
I will be buying a gold Hanzo bow as soon as the season is over.
I don't have any golden weapons.
I love it.
I don't have a single golden weapon.
So that's Overwatch stuff. The other big thing we had was
the real meat and potatoes.
Yes, and this was the Destiny 2 live stream event reveal that happened yesterday at the time of recording, but it'll be a few days, and plus the weekend pass when you hear this. So forgive us if a lot of the information I'm going to say right now you figured out on your own over the 4 days in between when you hear this and when we record it. Maybe we might be able to put the episode out early. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But so I wrote a ton of stuff, and again, I'm sure that I missed some stuff there. But basically, so what they did was they came out had like an hour long, hour 15-minute long keynote like presentation like on stage, like you would think of like a E3 conference, right? Like something like that. They showed a bunch of stuff, and then I guess there was like an 8-hour event total where people could go play the game. They allowed people to capture footage of it, etc., etc. There were some interviews going around, so all that stuff's kind of leaking out. Not leaking like, real info leak, but like trickling out as we go. But I wrote as much as I could remember from yesterday. First and foremost, I'll just give general opinion. I went into it and I was kind of like, I'm excited for the next game because I played a shit ton of the first one, as people listening to the show know. But I wasn't quite sure what I wanted in the second one. So when the stream started and they were showing stuff, at first I was kind of like, it kind of seemed a little bit too much like the first one. But as I was kind of realizing, like, that is what I want. I want the stuff that I loved about the first one to still be there, but just be tweaked and made better.
I feel like you're only going to get that vibe of like the first one from the opening section of the game, and then it's going to go on to like what they want to push forward with.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. And there's a ton of stuff that has been changed, that has been added, that has been removed, et cetera, et cetera. But, so I broke it down into a few sections. The first thing to talk about is the campaign, because this is probably what they showed like the least. They showed a very early section of the campaign, which I think is either like the first or maybe like the second mission or whatever.
It was like the first.
Well, the thing is, initially they were like, this is the first mission, but then later I was looking at some videos, people were saying like there is some stuff that happens like before, you know what I mean, that part that we saw. So I don't know if it's a whole mission that happened before, or if it's just like part of that mission that we didn't see. But it's called Homecoming. The new enemy, it's a Cabal still, but it's the Red Legion, which is like, they equated to the like Navy SEALs of the Cabal forces. Like, these are like the top tier dudes. Yeah,
these are the bad boys.
Their leader is Gaul. I don't remember. He had like two names, obviously, but I think Gaul's the only one I remember. What is this thing? I got it right here. Oh, so I guess the thing about it, it's a different type of villain than you're used to in the other game. Like, it's not just like, we want to kill all these people just because. I guess their whole motivation is, this guy was raised, like, to believe that the Traveler, which is the big thing that gives people in Destiny their power, like, it should have chose them instead. So his whole thing is, like, he feels he should be the one to get this power, so he's gonna go take it. So he shows up, fuck shit up. They said on the stream, like, the first mission ends with you getting your shit kicked. Like, you guys lose that fight, so your power is gone.
I think your power is
very
gone,
interesting
your
to me because
it seems like the tower is gone.
Yeah, that first mission, you have your abilities, like, you're fighting, so you haven't, because they haven't taken it yet, right? But then they said that you lose, so I'm very interested to see how it plays out after that, like what you do exactly to get them back.
My guess is you probably go through some sort of, like, I don't know, like your ghost or whatever. It's just like, oh, there's like these ancient texts that describe this,
well, the thing for me
where
is
the power came from.
Well, if you think about how they did when they did Taken King, right, and they brought in those 3 new subclasses, and granted, it was very brief. It was like a little mission depending on what class you were on. Like, you went to a planet, you did this, and you got that new power. Like, there was a little story behind where it came from. I'm very interested to see if they do something similar, but, elaborate on that, make it more. But yeah, so they didn't show a ton about the campaign. Like, they did say, like, they showed, which was very exciting to me, was in that first part they showed, like, Zavala, who's like the head of the Titans, like, he was in there, like, fighting alongside you.
Mm-hmm.
Ikora Rey, who was like the Warlock, like, she was there. There was some stuff with Cade. Like, it seems like the characters are much more involved now than they were in the first one, which in the first game it elaborated as the game went on, but really all it got to at its highest point was a couple cutscenes with these characters, and then they would chat to you over, like, voice about when you're on a mission. Yeah, like, they weren't there.
Do you think this one you're going to see more of those characters, like, interacting with you, and maybe there's going to be, like, more of a story panned out throughout the game instead of having to, like, read through, like, the grimoire and stuff like that outside of the game?
Well, the impression I got and sort of what they said and elaborated on to what we know right now is the story itself is way more cohesive. It's way more elaborate. There's a lot more cutscenes. There's a lot more NPCs and interactions with those characters. Like, it just feels like a much tighter experience than the first one. because I knew. I mean, that was a huge gripe for the first one, right? Like, and I feel like there was no way they'd be able to do something like that again. So it seemed like they doubled down on this, and they're like, the story is really important to us. Like, we love these characters. We want people to enjoy these characters. So it seemed like they're going to be a lot more in. They did mention like the 3 Vanguard, Cade, Zavala, and Ikora. Like, they do once shit hits the fan and you lose that first mission, they spread off. So you have to kind of go get them back, like bring the band back together. Essentially, is what they're saying. Which seems cool. There's the 4 new zones you go to. There's the European Dead Zone, which is still on Earth. There is Nessus, I think it's called, which is I don't know where these planets are in the solar system, whatever, but these are their names. Io or something like that. I don't know. But there's 4 new places. I don't remember the names. I didn't write. That was what's not written in my notes. But they did say that these are a lot bigger zones that are different than the stuff we're currently playing right now. They especially talking about the European Dead Zone on Earth a little bit. They said it's the biggest zone they've ever designed, which is exciting to me. And the biggest thing for me was, and it's weird because I didn't write this in my notes, but I just remember from watching, is they wanted to really push like exploration in these zones. Like so now when you pull up your map, like you'll see the public events will be on the map. Like you don't have to fucking look at some website that has a clock on it to try and tell you like when it's happening. Like it'll be on the map. There's like treasure maps that you can find that'll lead you somewhere with shit to do.
Yeah, they said it seems like more like there's like a quest almost.
Yeah,
sort of
like there's
thing.
like side quests and shit. Like they said that there's like NPCs out in the world that you find and they kind of send you on a quest. They said there's these things called lost sectors, which I don't know if these and the dungeons they mentioned were separate, or I got the impression that they were the same. But it's like a dungeon type thing. You go in, you go down, there's a boss at the end with a key that'll unlock like some sweet loot.
Seems like they're going for a little more of a Diablo approach.
Yeah, like there's way more exploration, and like because as someone who played a shit ton of the first game, like once you got to a point where you finished the main patrol stuff, like you never really had a reason to go to these planets because like you'd get they were big but they were empty. So it seems like they're really cranking that up. And again, it's just because a lot of this stuff is what I had to kind of piece together with what they said and like what they showed in like the sizzle reel stuff. Like when they were talking about NPCs in the world, there was one kind of flash cut that they showed in like the montage clip, which it looked like there was like a human like guy up in a tower somewhere in like the European Dead Zone with like a sniper out, like looking out at some enemies. So maybe you meet him and like he sends you on a quest or whatever. Like a lot of the stuff like we talked about here that I kind of like when I was making like predictions or hopes or whatever, it seems like a lot of that stuff is true and or in some fashion is happening. Which it seems great. Like I'm super excited to play it.
The best update I saw is that you don't have to back out to
you don't have to
space.
fucking go to orbit anymore. Like if you're on a planet and you want to go do a strike, like you can just pull up the ghost in them. It's all right in there. Like there's not all this cumbersome shit. Just real quick before I move to the other sections, I wrote more about. They are integrating a form of matchmaking into the game for folks who like. Maybe you don't have like a constant crew to run raids or trials or whatever with. It's clans guided games is like their thing. So essentially, like you're way more clan support in the game. And they were like, you can design your own clan banner. So I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I'm excited.
Boys in Richard Raid gear.
I'm excited to mess with that. So But yeah, the clan will be in the game, and it seemed like you can write like clan name, write a little bio, kind of like how you guys like to play, what kind of the vibe of your clan is, and so
It'd be
say
great
for
if you could
example,
design your own flag.
Yeah, so say for example, if we're on playing right, and we want to run a raid, but we only have 5 people and we need 6, you can queue up and say, listen, clan Richard Raid Gear is looking for a 6th person, and people could find us. See what the clan's all about, what I mean? Write a little bio that's like, we like to crack jokes, we're not super serious. If that sounds like something you want to play in, come in here.
Sometimes things get a little serious, a little heated.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so they can join up with you, so that allows, not only does it allow you, if you have a group but maybe not everyone's on at one time, you can still do stuff. Or if you're a solo player and you don't have a ton of people on your friends list to play with, like you can find people, and maybe you'll click with these people and you'll be like, listen, join you, because I think it gives you an option, like, I don't know if it's after you're done or whatever, but like, do you want to join the clan? Do you want to just peace out? Like, whatever. And, you know what I mean? I think that's cool. Like, it's a way to solve the matchmaking problem without just basic matchmaking, which forces random people into a high intensity situation, which then usually results in toxicity, right? Like,
Or someone
that's
just
the
leaving
way it
because
is.
they're just like, fuck these dudes.
Yeah, so I don't know. That seemed really cool to me. Another thing they had, I guess, for people to play, so this is info I picked out from other people, was there was a new strike called the Inverted Spire, which, I mean, that's a hole. You're talking about a hole, right? So, but I guess, like, the boss of the strike, it's a tiered boss, so there's 3 different, like, phases to the fight.
Okay.
It's which seems really good. Like, there's more mechanics to the boss, right? Like, obviously it's not like raid mechanics, but there's a little more than just being like a giant bullet sponge, which is what a lot of the bosses in the original strikes and shit were. Which, not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, it's cool to kind of have some other stuff you got to work through to finish it instead of just shoot him a ton until he dies. That's it. Which obviously this is what this boils down to at the end of the day. The strike zone, like the area in which the strikes takes place, seems massive. From all videos I've seen and people talking about it, like, it seems huge. Which is rad. Like, give me more, like, and they say, like, the draw distances, like, it looks good, it looks crazy. I guess in this strike specifically is a mix of the Red Legion enemies and then some Vex enemies, so it's good to see, like, the enemies we know already will still be kind of around.
I'm wondering how many new actual enemies we'll get.
That's very curious because they haven't said anything anywhere, but I'm assuming they haven't said a new race, or a species, I should say. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a new species, honestly. However, which is not a big deal for me, because more what I'm concerned about is enemies that we know, like Cabal or Vex or whatever, behaving in new ways, like new abilities and new tactics to fight and stuff, which we have seen in a couple clips. Like, they showed a couple Vex enemies that, like, their guns work a little bit different. They kind of do a little bit different stuff. Some of the Red Legion Cabal have different abilities. There's a couple different enemy types that fit into the Red Legion Cabal. Like, there's these new little, like, dog type of things they have, which is a completely new thing, which they'll just, like, they don't have a ton of health, but they'll hunt you down. Like, they just swarm you. There's this new Red Legion Cabal who, they close the distance, jump at you. They got 2 giant, like, machete swords and just fucking jam on you. I did notice a couple things like that. I'm not sure if the strike has, like, any campaign significance, because there are a couple strikes. The way they weave them into the story, in quotes, in the first game is like, you know, you'd be playing some campaign missions on a planet, and then that planet will have a strike at the end of it, which kind of feeds into what you were doing on that planet, etc. They didn't mention that. I don't know how that works. But yeah, I mean, it looks really good. There's some other stuff going, I guess this one, there's like a bit where you go down and there's like a giant drilling the Inverted Spire, you know, the hole. But the drill, I guess, is going around, and you have to go down on different levels of, like, what's being drilled out. Like, the drill will kill you. It's, like, right in your face, like, circling, so you have to dodge that while you're in gunfights with people on the way down. Like, it seems very intense. It seems really cool. Other than that, like, I have some notes about, like, the new Crucible, which is, like, the PvP mode.
It all turned into, everything is now 4v4, right?
Yeah, that's what I wrote here. So all across the board now, Crucible is 4v4 instead of, like, the mixes of 6v6, 3v3, etc., etc. Which is fine for me. Like, I've been saying for the longest time that I think the game should have been built with 4v4. Like, it just seemed like such a natural fit. And I never got into, like, the super competitive stuff, like tournaments and shit like that. But I guess a lot of those tournaments run 4v4. Like, that's just how they do it. Like, because, you know, that's the way it should be. It seems like they showed the only thing they had there for Crucible was the new mode called Countdown, which seemed to basically be like a bomb plant and defusal game mode.
Oh, nice.
So if you're familiar with those,
Dust your Counter-Strike skills off.
Yeah, right? Like, but it seemed too, and I saw this in a quick video from one of the Destiny YouTubers, like, initially, I guess they were talking to one of the Crucible design guys, and I guess initially in the first game, the way to design the maps for Crucible was, we have a map, we need to fit it into the universe, and then after that, they would figure out how to make it work for PvP. So, like, they'd be like, we're on this planet, we gotta make it look like this, blah, 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 and then they'd figure out, like, these are the sniper spots, etc., etc. Which left some maps being like, oh, this one sucks. Like, the balance wasn't right. It was favored to one side or the other, etc. But now it seems like they've gone the other way. They've now all the maps seem to be either designed around specific game modes in mind or just general, like, essentially, like, the way I pictured it in my head was, like, say you have just a gray playground, right? And you're like, we're going to put some boxes over here, like, make these sniper lanes, make these flank routes, and then put the coat of paint on it to make it look like it fits in the world. Which I think is better, because I don't really, like, I don't care so much how my Crucible map fits into the fucking lore. I just want it to be a good PvP map, right?
Yeah.
And, like, look cool. So I think that's a good change.
I don't think I ever considered about the maps for PvP being fit into the lore or how
yeah,
it looked.
exactly.
Like, I just wanted it to look like the rest of the game.
Yeah, but so I think this is a good change. A lot of people saying the time to kill is a lot longer in PvP, which I like because that tends to lead to more gunplay. Like, they're saying, like, it seems like all weapons across the board do less damage in general. So, like, it's a lot better to, like, hit your headshots, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot better to have map awareness and, like, game sense, right?
It's not like you get one-shotted across the map with a pistol.
No. I should throw in here, too, that they also changed the weapon layout system. It's no longer primary, secondary, and heavy weapon. It's now kinetic, elemental, and power. So what that breaks down to is your kinetic weapon is basically just it's a gun that shoots regular bullets, right? Like, there's no elemental effect on it. It's whatever. And from what I understand, again, this could be wrong because not a lot is known, but it seems like all the kinetic weapons are kind of what your primaries would be in the first Destiny, like hand cannons, scout rifles, auto rifles, pulse rifles, and the elemental weapons are those same weapons, but with, you know, solar, void, arc, whatever. So the guy, they mentioned this multiple times. They're like, yeah, if you're a guy you want to run double hand cannons, like kinetic and solar, you can do that. And now your power weapon, which is what your heavy weapon would be, so now you have rocket launcher. I think they added a new weapon, grenade launchers, sniper rifles, shotguns, fusion rifles. Those are all power weapons. And like little tidbits here and there, it appears that those weapons, like, damage-wise, have been adjusted. So, like, a snipe, like, because you're like, well, if I have a rocket launcher, why would I use a shotgun? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It seems like things have been tweaked to make it not seem stupid.
There could even be that possibility that there's, like, a sniper rifle that fits into, like, the kinetic or
like I mean, there's very possible. We don't know, have all the info yet. I'm just going, like, this is kind of like, it's like a scatter shot, right? And I'm kind of picking up what I can. But yeah, so I mean, I like that change. I think that's a really good change because as someone, I love using hand cannons, but sometimes, like, a scout rifle or something would be better for a situation, so I'd love to be able to have both, like, just easily right there.
Yeah.
What else I got for... Oh, there's another very interesting thing that I saw, and it's still a little confusion on it, but I think I got the gist of it right, was, so elemental weapons in PvP. So say, for example, do more damage against that matching class. So say, for example, if I have a solar-based hand cannon, right? And my enemy is a solar-based warlock. Like, he's using the new class. My gun will do more damage to him because it matches. Now, what I don't know is if that only counts, like, when they're using their super or if it's always. I don't know. Which, I mean, I think this is a really smart idea. Because it adds, like, a mental game to it, especially for something I'm thinking like Trials that's multiple rounds against the same people, you know what I mean? So I have to see that. I just think it's a really cool change. I think that's really interesting. It's a new way to kind of mess around with that. This new mode, it's the first to 6 wins. That's just a little detail about it. It seemed like all the abilities you have are like grenades, melee ability, whatever. Every class has a new third ability, it seems like. The Titans can put up, like, a shield, like a little, like, energy shield.
Essentially, you become Captain America.
Well, no, that's the super. This is, like, a different thing. It looks like a rectangle. It almost looks like a Reinhardt shield, kind of, right? But the difference is, there's 2 different versions of it. And again, I didn't look at the skill tree, so I don't know, like, what makes it different. But there's one that's like a half shield, which you can kind of crouch behind and shoot over. And then there's one that's like a full shield, like it goes all the way up and covers, like,
maybe that's just
wide.
Like further down your skill tree, like you can get that.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's differences. I know the hunters now have essentially like shade step, like you could do on the Night Stalker, but every class can do that. But there's 2 different ones. I know one the animation is like traditional shade step, like the dive and the kind of smoke and show up, which I guess that one recharges your melee.
Mm-hmm.
So if you throw a knife, shade step, you can throw a knife again. But the other one, he does sort of like a 360 kind of jump spin, and that one refills your magazine of whatever gun you have equipped.
Oh, weird.
So, which I think is really cool, because especially for
it's like a McCree move.
Yeah, I'm thinking like raids, you know what I mean? If you're ripping like heavy machine gun into a boss, you instead of like that extra couple seconds to reload, you can just do the jump spin and keep shooting, which is really cool. The Warlock one I actually think is pretty neat. Is you put down like a small circle, right, where like you and your teammates can fit in it, but it's like tight, like you got to stay in it. And there's two options. One, it rapidly heals you like 20% faster, or the other option is you do 20% more damage while you're in it. And it lasts for a few seconds. And these are general abilities, like it's not class like subclass specific, right? So like because they showed like the gunslinger hunter using the shade step, like so any subclass can use it. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, like I was saying, so universal cooldowns, it seems like every grenade, I don't know if it's like across all classes or if it's just like all hunter cooldowns are the same, etc., etc. But like, so your grenades, melee, all that stuff, it just cools down on its own. Like you can't speed it up or slow it down depending on what gear you're wearing, like you do currently. Which I like because it puts a lot more emphasis on gunplay, right? Like you're not like every gunfight you get in, oh, I have a grenade. No, you got to actually be able to shoot. And from what
like the best part of the game is the gun mechanic.
Exactly, which I'm glad that it seems like that's. And oh my god, I'll tell you, just as a super quick aside, just like some of the gameplay I've watched and stuff, and the sound design, it was good in the first game. Seems incredible. Like all the weapons sound awesome, all the grenades and stuff sound great. One thing too, this is the last kind of little tidbit about the PvP, was it seemed from what I was hearing from some people that over the course of the average game in this new mode, you're only getting like 1 to 2 supers, which I like because it's like, you rip some of those supers, you literally just snowball a whole fight. And if you're getting them like every couple rounds, like that's ridiculous. The last kind of stuff I have here is the new subclasses. I wrote, again, not a ton known about them because they weren't all on display here. I think the only actual new subclass they had on display that people could play was the Warlock one, which the other ones, like if you're a Titan, you were playing as a Striker, I think, which has been tweaked. And if you're a Hunter, you're playing as Golden Gun, which again has been tweaked. General tweak, the only tweaks I know about for those ones were the Gunslinger now, there's an option for your Golden Gun, like you shoot more than 3 shots. Like there's an option you can shoot up to 6 shots, but it's like a fan the hammer, like McCree. Like you have to like boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be tight again if like in a raid for a boss or something, you're just, because you're shooting the same target, right? So you're just like, you jam them 6 shots, that's tight. I don't know if there's going to be other options to make it different, I don't know. The Striker Titan now, instead of the Titan Smash, you can smash and the meter is still going, so you can run and smash again and again, or there's like a shoulder charge, kind of like you punch them, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's the only tweaks I know about for those ones. They didn't show like Voidwalker or any other, I don't know how those were tweaked. But for the new ones, you have the Titan, which has the Sentinel, the Warlock, which is the Dawnblade, and the Hunter, which is the Arcstrider. Don't like that name, personally. But what are you going to do?
I don't even know what that even means.
I know, I'm like, what is that? Like, I know these other ones, okay, but... So the Sentinel, it gives you a shield, yes, Captain America style. So it's a little circle shield which blocks damage, or you have like a shoulder shield bash kind of thing that you can do, or you can throw it.
I saw the throw.
Like, yes, Captain America.
Literal
right?
Captain America,
which is
energy
rad.
shield.
The Dawnblade, which is the Warlock one, you crack it and you kind of go up in the air and you're sort of like flying, like you're just floating in the air, swinging this sword, flaming sword that's just launching like these, like, blade-looking things of like fire down at people below you.
Okay.
And there's also like a slam down attack, like so if you're in the air you can smash down on the ground, which looks like it has like an area of effect damage on it. And then for the Arcstrider, this is the one that they showed probably the least of. I think the only stuff we got of it was in like the sizzle reel and like that opening mission a little bit. It's essentially, it looks like Blade Dancer, but now you have a bow staff instead of a knife.
The fuck?
Kind of a little bit disappointing, but
Yeah, I don't want no bow staff.
well, no, it looked rad because like the move set is not the same as Blade Dancer. Like you're not just dashing forward. Like he's doing like fucking crazy flips and shit, like jamming. Like it looks cool, but it's essentially a new Blade Dancer, right? Which leads into my next point. I do not believe that now we're gonna have 4 subclasses. I believe that these replace some other ones they've had issues with. Like, but for example, I believe the Arc Strider is replacing Blade Dancer. Again, not confirmed by anyone. This is just my own thoughts on this. I think the Arc Strider replaces Blade Dancer. I think the Dawnblade replaces the Sunsinger. And I think the Sentinel replaces the Bubble, the Defender Titan. Because all those elements, like, why would you have 4 classes, 2 of which do the same element? Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I think they want supers to be a lot more offensive instead of, like, each class having a defensive one. Like, because they're sort of baking in defensive abilities to the classes, like all of them. Mm-hmm. So I think it makes more sense to have every super has an offensive weapon type, you know what I mean?
I'm still not happy about this bow staff business.
No, I mean, listen, Golden Gun since the fucking alpha, like I'm probably going to keep running Gunslinger, like that's just my jam. But it does look cool. But yeah, so the subclass, that's it. The last kind of things I have is just general info. The PC release is delayed a little bit. They didn't give an exact date. It just won't be out the same day as the console one coming out. Which, I mean, I'm not going to blame PC anyways. It's probably like the best way to play. Just go looking at the specs that have come out. Like, but I don't play on PC. I don't care about that. The PC will have an uncapped frame rate, FOV slider, you know what I mean? All that shit for PC nerds, whatever. Good for you. I'm happy you're going to be able to play Destiny. Sure.
Doesn't look like it's got dedicated servers.
No dedicated servers, which again, I think is not the actual solution people think they need. They did mention there's no dedicated servers, but they are going back in and retooling all the matchmaking and putting a way higher focus on connection over everything else, which is what it was way back in the day. And then for trials and stuff, they started changing it. They're like, because they started changing it to, no, if you're on 8 wins, we're going to put you against people with 8 wins, number one. It doesn't matter about the connection, which sucked because you could be 1 win away from going flawless, and it's a super laggy game, you get stomped. That's bullshit. So now, more connection focus, which is great. Hopefully that leads to less lag. Who knows? Whatever. The consoles will be locked at 30 FPS, which is, again, I would love 60 because I've been playing a ton of Overwatch, which I'm pretty sure runs at 60, but whatever. For Destiny 1, I played a fuck ton of hours, and it was 30. I was fine. But on PS4 Pro, it'll run at 4K locked 30, which is solid. No word on Scorpio. They haven't figured that all out yet, so they didn't mention it. So, I mean, I guess technically there's a chance Scorpio could be 60 frames, but I doubt it. I don't see why they would do 60 frames on Scorpio, especially when you're going to be matchmaking against the same people on Xbox, regular Xbox playing at 30. Like, that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it would be tight if there was an option. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other just little stuff. I mean, that's kind of all I wrote down. But yeah, I mean, you can go. There's a shit ton of coverage out there. I know, like, IGN has a bunch of stuff. A couple YouTubers like Dado, who I follow for it, he does a lot of like analysis stuff. Like, he's got some stuff out. There's info everywhere out there. If there's stuff you want to know about, someone has talked about it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at the end of it, I'm really excited about it. I'm super psyched to get the game out. I want to play it. They didn't announce a date for the beta. But again, I wasn't really expecting that. I think they're going to, like we've talked about on here, I think they're going to announce that at E3. Initially, I predicted, in quotes, that the beta would go live either at E3 or right after it. I still, there's a possibility, but I think it's more likely, because all they said was it's going to be summer. I think it's more likely they launch it in July, like on Bungie Day or something, like the 7th. But
wait, there's a Bungie Day?
Bungie Day, man. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been a whole thing for years and years, like way before I even got into like following their games and shit.
Where the fuck have I been?
Yeah, but that's all the info I got for that. I'm really super excited about it. The game, from all reports, the game looks super good, especially like in 4K on PS4, even at 30. Like PC, people saying it looks absolutely gorgeous running at 60 frames, 4K. But again, I'm not playing a PC, I don't care. But I am excited to play it at 4K because I do have that capability.
Are you going to buy it on the PlayStation?
What is it?
Are you going to buy it on the PlayStation?
Fam, I told you I have a Pro.
I know, but everybody plays on the Xbox.
No, listen. I will sort that out, friend. We already talked about it on the show. I'll probably get Scorpio at some point, and I swear to God, they haven't confirmed one or another because they're not talking about Scorpio. But if this shit comes out and can't do 4K on Scorpio, I will jump ship immediately. Because that is ridiculous. I'm already taking the sacrifice on 30 frames. Don't make me sacrifice my resolution also.
Fair enough.
Don't do it, Bungie. But anyways, so that's it. I mean, I think it looks super good. I'm excited. I want to learn more about this. I think the story looks awesome. The gunplay obviously is going to be sweet. Like, that's the best part of the first one. Yeah, I don't know. Check out the info. It's out there. And hopefully, E3 is not far from now, so we'll probably see more then. I fear they'll have a presence, obviously, at the Sony conference, and we'll learn a lot more there. But I think that's all we got for this show. This is a long one.
Yeah, I got nothing else in the tank.
Packed with info.
Probably not that informative, though.
Tej will never write notes again. So
you start talking about Destiny, though, and the notes start scribbling.
That's it. Well, there was a lot of stuff. They actually showed a lot more stuff than I thought they were gonna. So when you were like, we gotta record, I was like, fuck, I gotta type. I'm not gonna remember all this shit. I was like, I gotta type this.
Gotta type these notes.
Well, especially there's supposed to be even like more stuff going up today. Like I know IGN did like a 45-minute interview with the leads on the game, so that's supposed to come out today at some point. Yeah, it's just info coming everywhere, fast and furious. But yeah, it looks good. So that's the show for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.